المصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا. Oh my Creator, oh Allah, fulfill our aims in life, Allah. Forgive our sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Ya Wasi al-Karami. Oh Allah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Signs of the Hour. We are approaching the end, not the end of time, but the end of the minor signs. And yes, we are approaching the end of times because we have seen a lot of these signs being fulfilled and these prophecies coming to reality, and we can see that in front of our own eyes. And as mentioned before, some of the signs had already taken place, and scholars all agree that these are the signs that the Prophet told us about, alayhi salatu wasalam. Some of them had taken place and they are reoccurring every now and then. And there are signs that did not take place yet among the minor signs, and they will take place as the Prophet ﷺ had told us. And among them is when the greatest structure, the greatest building on earth will be demolished, and the sanctuary that has been there for hundreds and thousands of years will not become a sanctuary anymore. The Prophet tells us, alayhi salatu wassalam, that there will be a man who the people, the Muslims, would give him the pledge of allegiance between al-maqam and the rukn. And the maqam is the maqam of Ibrahim in the haram area, in the masjid, and the rukn is as you know, where the black stone is, and which is the corner. And the Prophet goes on to say, and this Kaaba, this sacred structure, it would not be possible for anyone other than the Muslims to come and conquer it or abuse it or make it halal, because the opposite of halal is haram. And this area is called Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and it is Al-Haram area, which means that there are things that are forbidden to be done there. That is why it's called haram. So when people come and make these forbidden things permissible, then this is a problem. So the Prophet is telling us, alayhi salam, that no one would be able to make this haram place permissible until the people themselves, the Muslims themselves, make it permissible. And then do not ask, the Prophet says, do not ask about the destruction of the Arabs. And that time you will see the Habasha, the Abyssinians, coming and destroying the Kaaba, and it would never be rebuilt again. They are the people who will come and extract and take its treasure, the treasure of the Kaaba, which means that there is a treasure there. The Prophet told us, alayhi salatu wasalam, that the one who will lead this is Dhus Suwayqatayn, the man with the two thin legs, and he's an Abyssinian, he's from Africa. The Prophet says, as if I can see him now, Allah Azza wa Jal is visualizing him to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. I can see that he's bald, that he is black, that his legs are crooked and not straight. He will use his shovel to destroy and dismantle the Kaaba brick by brick. This would happen. But how can this happen when Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in the Quran Have they not seen that we have made Mecca a sanctuary secure, and that men are being snatched away from all around them? One would say, how is this possible when Allah Azza wa Jal had made the sanctuary secure? And scholars said that Allah had made the sanctuary secure in the sense that until the Arabs themselves, the Muslims themselves, make that sanctuary permissible, and they would do things that they're forbidden from doing. And we've seen this at the time of Abdullah ibn Zubayr, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, when Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi besieged and surrounded Mecca to make Abdullah ibn Zubayr surrender, as he was the rightful Khalifa of the Muslims at the time. But Abdul Malik ibn Marwan sent Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, sent his troops to get him out and to force people to give him the Pledge of Allegiance. And Al-Hajjaj threw rocks and rocks at the Kaaba, that some of it even went into the Haram, trying to kill and attack Abdullah ibn Zubayr. So this took place. Also in the 4th century, we know that a sect of the Muslims, though not related to Islam, though they are not Muslims, but they are from the Rafida, from the Batiniya, they're known as Al-Qaramita, came and attacked Al-Haram, attacked the pilgrims, slaughtered the pilgrims, threw them in Zamzam well, and they did atrocities in the Haram area. Not only that, they even took the black stone with them to their country up east. And it stayed there for more than 20 years. Imagine how weak the Muslims were at the time, that their sacred Kaaba is being attacked like this and nobody defended it. And the black stone was taken to them until the Muslims gave ransom and they returned it back to where it is at the moment. So this would happen, the destruction of the Kaaba at the end of time, by an Abyssinian man and his people. Yet it is a sanctuary secure, but due to the fact that the Muslims themselves were among those who did not honor it, and they themselves were the first to attack it and make it permissible, this means that the restriction is gone and this is possible. Yes, Allah Azza wa Jal defended the Kaaba at the year when the Prophet ﷺ was born. Why? Because Abraha, the ruler of Yemen, came to invade and to destroy the Kaaba. And he came with great elephants. But Allah Azza wa Jal blocked the Haram area and the elephant could not move. And Allah sent birds from the sky in flocks and in great numbers, throwing small pebbles and stones onto them, and they were annihilated and killed. So Allah defended the Kaaba at the time because that it was a time of ignorance and the people did not believe in Allah Azza wa Jal, or they believed in Allah but they also believed in their idols. After that, when Islam was spread and Iman is firm and strong in the hearts of the believers and the people, now this is not needed, alhamdulillah. So if anything happens to the Kaaba, do you think people would reject their Islam? No, definitely. We're not worshipping the Kaaba. We're worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal. However, this would happen at the very end of time. And scholars say this would happen even after the death of Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, and when there would be no Muslims around. And the Quran would be uplifted from the chest of people. And no one would be worshipping Allah. Only then the Kaaba would be destroyed and never to be rebuilt again. Moving on to one of the greatest signs of the hour. And its greatness is derived because it happened and it will continue to happen. And what is this sign? It is the emerging and the appearance and the existence of tribulations. of calamities, of tests, of killings. All of this falls under the word fitna. So the word fitna is something that is bad. It can be mentioned as a test or a trial. It can be in your wealth. It can be in your children. It can be in yourself. Allah Azza wa Jal said that merely your wealth and your offspring are fitna. A woman is a fitna to a man because she attracts him and she tempts him. Power can be fitna. Wealth can be fitna. Desires can be fitna. Doubts can be fitna. And this is how shaitan comes to you, because he either controls you through desires, so you are unable to worship Allah properly, or he controls you through doubts, casting doubts in your religion, in the Quran, in the Sunnah, you name it, he's got it. The Prophet ﷺ, as narrated by Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, may Allah be pleased with him, he said that among the signs of the hour, just before the hour is being called, there are tribulations and trials as dark as patches of dark night. So the Prophet is telling us that it's pitch black. These tribulations and trials are so dark and confusing, as if you are in the midst of the darkness and you're unable to see your direction. The Prophet describes these tribulations and trials. He says, a man wakes up in the morning as a believer, and at the end of the day, he becomes a kafir. And he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, says that a man is at the end of the day a believer, but when he wakes up in the morning, he's a kafir. So it's very strange. One could turn into a kafir when he wakes up or when he goes to bed. And the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, in these tribulations and trials, those who sit are better than those who stand. And those who stand are better than those who walk. And those who walk are better than those who run. So in these tribulations and fitna, the Prophet says, cut the string of your bows and break your bows and hit your swords over rocks so that it would break. And if anyone was attacked, let him be like the best son of Adam, the one who did not kill. Let him be the one who did not kill. In another hadith, also illustrating to us the gravity and the seriousness of these tribulations and trials, the Prophet called the Muslims, called the companions for prayer, and after he prayed, he told them and gave them this sermon. He said, there is not going to be any prophet after me. And every single prophet, it was his duty to warn his people and to direct them to the goodness he knows for them. And I'll tell you that your ummah, its well-being was made in the very beginning of it, meaning his time, alayhi salatu wasalam. And at the very end, there will be a lot of trials and tribulations and calamities upon them. This is at the end of his ummah. You will see things that you do not approve of, and you say that this is wrong. But trials and tribulations would come, and each one would make the one after, and each one would make the one before it much softer and easier. And the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, when a tribulation takes place, a believer says, this is my destruction. This one is going to kill me. And when it is unveiled and it's gone, and another one comes, the believer says, no, this one is definitely going to kill me. So each one is softer and lesser than the one after it. And each one that comes afterwards is greater and more severe. So the Prophet tells the companions, whoever wants to be distracted from fire and admitted to paradise, then he should die believing in Allah and the Day of Judgment, and he should do well to others as he loves them to do well for himself. And the Prophet goes on to say, and whoever gives the pledge of allegiance to an imam, he must obey him as much as he can. And if someone else comes and would like to fight with this imam that you gave the pledge of allegiance, the Prophet says, behead the second one, which indicates the importance of unity. Now, tribulations nowadays are like this. Yesterday's tribulations and trials are far, far easier than today's. And this happened everywhere. For example, people like 70, 80 years ago, when tobacco was introduced in Saudi Arabia, it was a nuisance. Everybody hated it, and those who smoked were among the outcast. Everybody was against it. And it continued for a number of years, and then intoxicants appeared. So people started preaching in the masjid, it is haram to drink wine or whiskey or whatever they call it. And people were reminded of its severity and of its haram, to the extent that people neglected those who smoked. After a while, when drugs were also introduced and youth started abusing it and consuming it, and everyone of us used to say, haram, it's haram, drugs is haram, it's killing you, it's taking you to hell. And they were a little bit soft with drinking, and they're much, much softer with smoking. So this is how shaitan works. These are the steps of shaitan. 70 years ago, we did not have TV. Then we had black and white. And then we had colored, but only local. And then we had the reception of Egypt only, and that was woo. And now with the satellite channels, nobody talks about the local media and the haram things in it, because this is a drop in an ocean. So this is how shaitan works, and this is how the fitna takes place. And the fitna of unity. If we gave the pledge of an allegiance to a Muslim ruler, even if he was abusing his powers, even if he was taking money from the treasury for his own goodness and for his family and for his grandchildren and for his whole tribe, even if he lies, if he cheats, and he is corrupt, all of them around him are corrupt, as long as we gave him the pledge of allegiance, number one. And as long as he's a Muslim, we are not allowed to go out of his reign. And that is why the Prophet tells us, if another one comes and says, listen, I'm a reformer, I'm going to do this and that, but we have to fight against, we have to overthrow this corrupt ruler, we have to boycott him or do something like this, the Prophet tells us, behead the second one. Because this ruler, though unfair and unjust, he's a Muslim. Until he does something that is bluntly open to be against Islam. Now, the problem is that a lot of these fitan, the Prophet ﷺ told us where they're coming from. A lot of hadith. The Prophet tells us that the fitan is coming from the east. So what is meant by the east? A lot of the enemies of the Quran and the Sunnah would claim that the east is meant by it's Najd. Nowadays, Najd. Najd is an Arabic word which means something that is higher than normal grounds. So they say that the Riyadh area, the Najd area, the central of Arabia is the source of all tribulations and trials. Because the Prophet said, ﷺ, that there is where the horns of shaitan, and there is the tribulations and the earthquakes. So they said that this is the source of all evil. And this is very funny, because there were no earthquakes there, and there were no tribulations or trials. They said, yes, the biggest trial is the trial of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, the Wahhabi fitna. So what is the Wahhabi fitna? Oh, it's the source of all corruption, it did this and that. What did it do? They cannot say anything. Now, if you analyze those who attack the so-called Wahhabi da'wah, and there isn't any such thing as Wahhabi da'wah. Imam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab was a reformer. He did not bring his own fiqh. He was a follower of the Hanbali school. He did not bring any new ideas or reinvented the wheel. He said nothing except قال Allah, قال Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. And he was a reformer because when he came, the whole of Arabia were worshipping trees, rocks, and jinn. Very rare you would find someone that was a proper and true Muslim and sincere Muslim. All what he had done was demolish and remove all of these signs of shirk and called people back to the Quran and Sunnah, and that was it. Of course, with the collaboration of Prince Muhammad bin Saud, may Allah have mercy on his soul, who helped him with the power, because Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab was a scholar and Muhammad bin Saud was a manager and a ruler, and he knew how to deal with things. So if you analyze those who attack this blessed da'wah and call it Wahhabi da'wah, and whoever is against them, they call him a Wahhabi, so that it's equivalent to a terrorist or a fundamentalist or an extremist. Analyze, and who attacks him? The only people that attack him, they're not the Hanafis, they're not the Hanbalis, they're not the Malikis. They are those who have a deficiency and corruption in their aqeedah. On top of that are the Shia, the Rafidah. They are the fierce enemies of this da'wah. Why? Because this da'wah calls them back to the Quran and Sunnah, and they go out of their way to attack the Quran and the Sunnah. They even go in their books, say that the Quran is corrupt and the one we have is not the original Quran. Ask the Kilini in the Kafi or their different publications. You'll find it there in black and white. Either it's right, then you're a kafir. Either it's wrong, then you have to throw these books in the dustbin. Also the super Sufis, those who are so extreme that they do not believe that prayers is mandatory upon them because they've reached a level where they can have direct connection with Allah Azza wa Jal. Prayers is for those who are ignorant and the laymen. Those who worship graves, who worship their saints and awliya, who worship their peers or their masters, whom they think that they would be the connection between them and Allah. And I've heard this from someone in Syria. I went there. He said Allah Azza wa Jal is so high. So to call Allah Azza wa Jal, you have to do this through the Prophet ﷺ. And to get to the Prophet ﷺ, you have to do your dua through me. So whenever you call Allah, you have to visualize me and pray to me, and I will reflect your prayer to the Prophet and then to Allah Azza wa Jal. What nonsense is this? So those and others of innovation who make money out of having people worshipping their idols and following them, who are so rich now because of this, they attack the Wahhabi so-called da'wah. There isn't anything of, and they claim that it is in the center of Arabia and it is the source of all tribulations and earthquakes, like the Prophet said alayhi salatu wasalam. And this is a lie. Hafidh ibn Hajar, Ibn Qayyim, Ibn Taymiyyah, Al-Khattabi, An-Nawawi, so many great scholars who do not relate to Al-Wahhabis. And they were 9 centuries ago, they lived. And some of them 5 centuries ago, like Ibn Hajar and etc. What did they say about Najd? They said that there are 2 Najd, because it's a high elevated area. Najd of Yemen, and this is the center of Arabia. And Najd to the people of Medina, this is Iraq. And whatever comes from beyond that. And how do you say this? If you look at Medina, you will see that to the east, south of it, there is Najd. But to the east, north of it, there is Al-Iraq. North of Medina is Ash-Sham. So Iraq is not on the north of Medina. It is east, but a little bit to the north. And if you look in the hadiths, in the Sahih, you would find that this is exactly what the companions understood. May Allah be pleased with them. And those who followed them. Salim, Ibn Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with them. That is Abdullah and Umar. And may Allah have mercy on Salim. He is one of the most knowledgeable 7 scholars of Medina. So he's from the Tabi'een. And when one from Iraq came and asked him about something, he said, Subhanallah, you people of Iraq, you ask about little things, yet you commit major big things. I've heard the Prophet ﷺ saying about your country that there will come people who recite the Quran and it does not reach their throats. And this is the land of fitan. This was mentioned in Bukhari. So many people also in the Bukhari stated that the fitan and the tribulation coming from the east comes from Iraq. I'll give you a few quotes. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said that he heard the Prophet ﷺ while he was directed to the north, to the east. He says, from there tribulation would come where the horn of Satan is. Now, this hadith tells us that all the tribulation comes from the east. And this hadith was reported in Bukhari, if I'm not mistaken. The Prophet ﷺ, and these two hadiths are from the Bukhari, he told us that there will come people coming from the east, reciting the Quran, it does not reach their throats. They go out of Islam as an arrow goes out of an animal when you shoot it at him. So the Prophet is telling us that tribulation are coming from the east. In the second hadith, Sahal ibn Hanif, may Allah be pleased with him, Sahal ibn Hanif was asked, did you hear anything from the Prophet ﷺ pertaining or about the Khawarij? And he said, yes, I heard something from the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet said, and he pointed at Iraq. Now this is the hadith of Sahal ibn Hunayf. He's saying the Prophet pointed at Iraq, and he said, from it there will come people reciting the Quran does not exceed or does not pass their throats, and they would go out of Islam as an arrow goes out from a prey. Now, what is meant by a horn of the shaitan? The qarn in Arabic means a generation. So when the Prophet is referring that there is the generation of shaitan, meaning that there are the people that would support and make everything to cause tribulation and fitna from the east. And we also know that if you look at the source of tribulation since the beginning of Islam and compare apple to apple, compare Najd, which is in the center of Arabia, and to the things that happened in Iraq and in Persia and east of that, because all of this is the east, you will find that everything took place, most of it revolves on Iraq, especially Al-Kufa. Because in Kufa there came the Khawarij and there came the Rafida, the Shia. This is where they originated from, and they both went into far extremes in Ali, may Allah be pleased with him. The Khawarij said Ali is a kafir, and they assassinated him. The Rafida said Ali was a god, and then they said he was a prophet, and then they said he's one of the imam that controls the universe. Look at those who killed Umar, assassinated Umar. He was from Persia. Look at the fitna of Uthman, originated from Iraq and then spread to Egypt elsewhere. Look at the incident of Al-Jamal, the camel, and Siffin, and the war between Ali and Muawiyah. And where did Ali die? May Allah be pleased with him. In Kufa, in Iraq. Now, from that area, everything that was evil came out, such as Al-Qadariyah, Al-Jabriyah, all the philosophical ideology that corrupted Islam, or at least tried to corrupt Islam, came from Iraq. Now, having said that, Iraq had a lot of great scholars of Islam, and in Iraq a lot of great Muslims, but this does not change the fact that that country is the source of evils and the source of all tribulation and fitna that the Prophet ﷺ has warned us about. Of course, adjacent to it is Iran, and Iran is the mother of all evils. Though in Iran itself there are 20 million Muslim Sunni, but you do not hear any of them because they're being oppressed. You do not find one single Sunni mosque in Tehran, but you would find Qadianis, you would find the Jews, you would find them in Shiraz, in Asbahan, in Tehran. You find their synagogues, and we will come to talk about this inshallah. when we talk about the Dajjal. But the Sunnis have no voice because they're being oppressed, killed and tortured in Iran openly, and no one dares to speak a word, unfortunately. So we have to clarify this. The fitan, the tribulations, the calamities, they all come from that area. Those who attack and try to tarnish the reputation of the reformer Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, or the efforts that his followers are doing to purify the religion from shirk and from innovation, definitely are deviant, and definitely they are part of the 73 sects that are in hell, as mentioned by the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. We have a short break. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Oh Allah, fulfill our aims in life, Allah.
There is an American sister who's very active in Dawah in Egypt, told me personally that she traveled between Buddhism and Christianity and different sects, and when she came to read the Quran, she started by reading from right to left, Surah Al-Fatiha. She said, I swear, once I finished it, I fainted. I could not believe myself that there is such book that people were so negligent and ignorant about. That has to be the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she said, I accepted Islam simply after reading Surah Al-Fatiha and knowing
the first chapter, 7 verses.
7 verses.
The Arabic itself, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke the Quran. So this is by itself is a medicine.
It is a word of
It's
Allah.
a word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It goes into the heart.
It was not created, rather Allah spoke it out.
May your Ramadan nights be blessed with welfare and forgiveness. Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan.
You can't do that because you do not know what to say to them something. At least you raise up your hand and ask Allah, oh Allah, please give guidance to this brother of mine, the importance of following Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To follow our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam means you must understand his sunnah. Adinu Yusrun, Islam is a very easy religion, simple religion. So don't make religion difficult to yourself. I believe this hadith is very common to all of us. But the beauty part of this hadith, number one, it started by Umar al-Khattab saying, Sami'tu. Now again, I'd like to share with the brother and sister to understand the beauty of this saying of the companion.
Oh my Creator, oh Allah, fulfill our aims in life.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. I believe we have Khadija with us from Saudi Arabia.
Yes, Sheikh.
Khadija.
I have a question, please. I have two questions, actually.
I'm unable to hear you.
Are there any
Khadija?
specific dua or food that one can take to improve memory?
Probably there is a problem in connection.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, Abu Safwan from Kuwait.
Hello?
Abu Safwan from Kuwait.
Yes. Hello?
I can't hear you. I think we have a
Hello?
problem. We have a technical problem. Inshallah, they will. Okay, hold it for a while. They have a problem with connection, inshallah. So going back to the issue of the fitan, the tribulations. Also, the hadith of Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, which we mentioned yesterday, if you remember, that the Prophet ﷺ said that, Anas, you will witness the Muslims conquering a lot of countries, and one of the countries or the cities they are going to conquer and establish is a place called Al-Basra, and we know that Basra is in Iraq. And he told him, if you ever pass by or enter such a place, be aware from and try to avoid its salty land, its place where there is green prairies, and their markets, and the place of the governor, the headquarters of the governor. The Prophet says, avoid them. Why? The Prophet says, because there will be a lot of earthquakes, a lot of landslides and a collapse of the soil, and there will be a lot of trembling and shaking. So this clearly refers to earthquakes taking place there. In Arabia, we don't have this, alhamdulillah, reported, but all the mentioned tribulations that affected the deen, that had tarnished the reputation of Islam, that caused a lot of killings, were originated from Iraq, Persia, and the lands behind that. Now, having said that, as stated before, we do not say or accuse our brothers and sisters in Iraq or our Sunni brothers and sisters in Iran that they are evil. No, nothing was meant by any chance or directed to this direction. Ahmad ibn Hanbal, may Allah have mercy on his soul, the Imam, was born in Iraq. Abu Hanifa was in Iraq. All the great scholars came out from Iraq. So this doesn't mean that the people of that area are corrupt, but it means that the source of corruption is from there, which means that they have to be careful to whom they associate themselves with. If they see any type of innovation, they should cut it, and they should fight it, and they should stand in its face. Look at Iraq, where you have the Najaf. Look at Iran, where you have Qum. All of these places of shirk, where Allah Azza wa Jal, people associate others and dead people with Him. They call them Ya Hussein, Ya Ali. All of this is shirk. You are not even allowed to call the Prophet ﷺ. Those so-called Sufis, extreme Sufis, and I'm not talking about all of them, those who are following the Quran and Sunnah, and they are pious, and they simply are not so interested in the worldly matters. They are good Muslims. They are Sunni Muslims. They're labeling themselves as Sufi is unaccepted because they're not. I'm talking about those Sufis who are so extreme in the Prophet ﷺ, to the extent that, yes, Abdurrahman from Saudi. Okay, Abdurrahman from Saudi. Yes, Abdurrahman.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa
That's
alaikum
me, Abdurrahim.
Oh, Abdurrahim. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, brother.
Yes, sir. But I have 3 questions.
Okay.
Back home in Nigeria, at the masjid, people used to, especially after Fajr and Maghrib prayer, or before Maghrib, they used to spread white cloth on the ground, and they sit around it, and they are reciting. They call it weedi.
Okay.
I don't know the actual name, but I heard they calling it weedi.
Okay.
So my uncle is one of the participants and organizer. So I want to know, does this have reference in Islam? And my second question is that, for instance, my name is Abdurrahim, and if it's written in a piece of paper, when I know that I'm a slave of Allah, how am I supposed to do away with that paper? Can I burn it or throw it in the trash when I know that Abdurrahim is in that paper?
Okay.
Then my third question is, can one purchase the land when we know that land business, lucrative business? Can you buy a land and keep it for years after you resell it and make profit from it? Is this permissible? Or even if you own this land, can you be paying the zakat on it if you have this intention to resell it?
Okay, I will answer your question. Hayakallah. We have a second caller, Sireen. Nisreen.
Yes.
Yes, Sister Nisreen. What can I do for you?
Okay.
Your question, sister.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
My question is, what is the ruling of a pregnant woman who can't fast in Ramadan? Is fidya enough, or she has to replace the fasting afterwards?
Okay, I will answer your question.
Or she has to divorce because of she will have to breastfeed.
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah. Abdurrahim is asking about a form of congregational dhikr that they do in Nigeria. They put some seeds maybe or something to count on, and they make a circle and they make congregational dhikr. Is this permissible? No, this is a bid'ah. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, was told about a group of Muslims at his time doing the same thing. A man sits in the middle with a group with a number of date seeds, and they say, say Subhanallah 30 times. And they say Subhanallah, 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 Subhanallah. And then it says, say Allah Akbar so and so times. So his companion came to him, I think it was Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, and they both went to the masjid, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud addressed them and told them that Subhanallah, either you know more than the Prophet ﷺ, or you have brought a wrong innovation to Islam. So they said, Yani we are trying to remember Allah Azza wa Jal. He said, the Prophet's ﷺ clothes are not worn out yet. His plates are not broken, meaning that he just died ﷺ a few years ago. And you're innovating this? They said, Ya Aba Abdul Rahman, oh Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, we intended only good. And he told them, how many people intend something but do not achieve it? Though you intend good, but you will not reach that good. And the narrator of the hadith said that I've seen those who were in that masjid in Iraq, again, it was in Iraq, I've seen them all killed with the Khawarij when Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, fought with them and defeated them. So, Sister Tamara?
Hello?
Yes, sister.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh Hakeem, I'm phoning on behalf of my mother,
Okay.
who is living in Saudi Arabia. My father forces my mother to attend gatherings, and this causes a lot of embarrassment for her because she can't understand any of the women there. So my question is, what is the Islamic ruling for this?
Okay. I will answer the question, inshallah. Nizamuddin?
Hello, yes, please.
Yes. Your question, Akhi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I have heard about Laylatul Qadr, two different versions. One is it is 21, 23, 25, 27, 29. And other is in last 10 days we have to search for Laylatul Qadr. So when do we have to start calculating? Because Ramadan sometimes it is 29 days and sometimes it is 30 days. So do we have to start from tonight or from tomorrow night?
I will answer the question, inshallah. Ahmed from Saudi.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Salamatullah.
Yeah, how are you, Sheikh?
I'm fine, Jazakallah khair.
Sheikh, I have 3 questions.
Okay.
Yeah, my first question is regarding istikhara. One of my friends, she has a proposal, and after she did istikhara, and then she had a bad dream. What does it mean?
Okay, second question.
And then second question is when you go for Imamat Namaz in for Zuhur and Asr, and Imam said after the, and Imam is quiet in that Namaz of Zuhur and Asr. And if you're reading Surah Fatiha and Imam said Allahu Akbar for Ruku, so you should finish Surah Fatiha and then go in Ruku, or you should go immediately in the Ruku as Imam said Allahu Akbar for Ruku.
Okay.
And my third question is about Sajda Sahu. Like if you're reading a namaz with the imamat and you think that you have made a mistake, so you can make Sajda Sahu after the Imam says Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.
But he did not. The Imam did not do it.
No, Imam did not do it, no.
Okay, I will answer the question.
Oh, thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay. Abdul Rahim's second question. Salma from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Mute your television, please,
Alaikum,
and listen to me from the phone. Wa alaikum salam
My
wa rahmatullah.
question is, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I wonder you don't have children.
You don't have children?
You don't have children in marriage, and something is disturbing you, and people keep telling you that when you don't have children, you don't have to be worried, because on the day of judgment, God is shy of the people He doesn't give children. And I've looked for hadith and I've looked for not seeing any evidence like that in any books in Islam. How true is this matter? Because it's really devastating. Sometimes you get so worried that you don't know what to do.
Just because Allah did not give you children?
Yes.
Okay, I will answer the question, inshallah. Abdul Rahim is saying that my name is Abdul Rahim, so sometimes it's written on a paper. If I want to dispose of the paper, knowing that Ar-Rahim is one of Allah's names, can I throw it in the dustbin? The answer is no. You have to properly dispose of it, whether this is by burning it, burying it, or by shredding it completely to small pieces where you cannot distinguish the name. He's asking about the ruling on buying land for the purpose of investment. This is halal. Buying things and selling it is permissible. Lands is permissible as well. But you have to pay zakat every single year on today's price. So if you bought it last year, today it finished the year, look at how much the value of the land and give 2.5 out of this because you're investing it. This is unlike if you bought a land for the future. You have no intention of selling it now. But for the future, maybe I'm going to buy, build a house, maybe I'm going to give it to my children, maybe I'm going to sell it, I don't know. So if you're hesitant, then there is no zakat in that. Nisreen says that a pregnant woman who cannot fast, does she have to make up for the missed days or feeding would be sufficient? The majority of scholars and the most authentic opinion of scholars is that she cannot pay compensation or expiation. She has to make up for the days missed, even if they are so many. So 3 Ramadans she missed, 6 Ramadans she missed. She has to make them when the obstacle or when the reason is gone, inshallah. Bukhari from Nigeria?
Yes.
Yes, brother. What can I do for you?
Bukhari from Nigeria?
Wa alaikum salam. Mute your television. I can hear myself. Wa alaikum salam to Allah.
Please, I want to know your personal email address.
You want to know my personal mail address? You can send whatever you want to my website, which is www.Asim Al-Hakeem, one word, ASSIM, Al-Hakeem, ALHAKEEM.net. So put it there, inshallah, and it will come to me, and I will answer you within 2 days, inshallah. So Abu Safwan from Kuwait?
Hello?
Yes, Abu Safwan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. I'm fine, Jazakallah khair.
Okay, Sheikh, I have a question regarding this takara.
Okay.
We have two proposals. So my first question, do you have to do different istikhara one by one? And secondly, how you decide about between the two?
Okay, I will answer a question, inshallah. Okay, Tamara, she's saying that her mother is in Saudi Arabia and her husband, which is her father, I presume, is forcing her to attend gatherings where she sits there and she does not understand anything because the women are definitely speaking in Arabic and she doesn't know Arabic. And this is aggravating her. This is making her a little bit angry and depressed. What to do? Well, marriage, unfortunately, it's a package deal. You have to take the good and the bad. Now, in Islam, it's a must for you to obey your husband. But if he orders you to go to somewhere you don't want to go there, this is not up to him. You can simply refuse. However, as a wise woman, you should look at the consequences. Because if your husband is, stupid, then he will behave in a stupid way. So he will make problems because you've disobeyed him in this matter. And this is not worth it. If I were in your place, I would go and attend, and I would take my mobile phone or my PDA while people are chit-chatting in Arabic and I don't understand anything. I would browse the net, I would answer emails. This is what I usually do with my PDA. Whenever I go to somewhere I'm forced to go. So I take this with me and I have everything that I want to do. If it's not an email that I'm going to answer, it's an article that I would like to read or an ebook, and I utilize my time. And by this you would have hit 2 birds with 1 stone. But if you don't want to go, you can simply tell him, I don't want to go. Think of the consequences though. Nizamuddin is saying that Laylatul Qadr, which we are inshallah soon approaching, he's confused. When is it? Because the Prophet says 10 nights, and these 10 nights may not be fulfilled when the month is 29. Some scholars say that when the Prophet says 10 nights, he means that this is the majority. So instead of saying 9 nights or 10 nights, he says 10 nights, and this is what the Arabs use. So they use one word to mean for two things, though they're different. Like in the hadith of Urwa ibn Zubayr, when he asked his aunt, Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, when she said that fire would not be lit in our house for 2 months. And he said, what did you feed on? And she said, the two blacks. And she explained, dates and water. We know that dates are black, but water is not. So the scholar said that in Arabic this is possible. You say, the two Umars came and the two Umars left. And we mean by that, Abu Bakr and Umar. We say, I've seen the two moons, and I'm referring to the sun and the moon. So in Arabic, this is known as at-taghlib. One takes over the other in the name. So when the Prophet said 10 nights of Ramadan, he meant that 9 and 10. The other interpretation for the scholars, and this was chosen by Al-Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on his soul. He said that the 10 nights are 10 nighs, but it depends on the ending. So instead of counting from the ninth of the 21st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 30th, these are the 10 nights. He said you count in reverse, meaning that when the 20th is due, I'm not sure whether the month would end 30 or 29 days. So I start backwards. So in normal cases, if the month is 30, the odd number of nights would be the 21st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th. But if the month is 29 days, this means that the odd numbers or the odd days would be the 20th, the 22nd, the 24th, the 26th, the 28th. And 29th would be the 10th night. So this is Ibn Taymiyyah's choice, and by this he is encouraging people to start the last 10 days and to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. And if you worship Allah in these and pray Taraweeh and pray night prayer in these last 10 nights, then inshallah you will definitely have prayed the Laylatul Qadr. Okay. Saada from Nigeria. Saada from Nigeria.
Naam, I'm from Nigeria. Please, I have two questions.
Okay.
One, when you want to give sadaqah to somebody and you are married, and those people are their father is dead and you need to give them something, but you ask your husband, he said no, and you now went and give the money. Do you have any problem with that?
Second question.
And second question, please, when you have at least gold chain, you know, if female like wearing chain, at least 2 or 3 golds, do you have to give out the card for them?
Do you know the weight of it?
No, I don't know the weight, but I have every chain and the bangles and the earrings.
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah.
Just like at least 2 or 3.
Okay, Farah from Saudi Arabia. Okay, Farah is gone. I think that we will just take the questions we have. I don't know if there will be time. Ahmed says that if someone makes istikhara and sees a bad dream, is this a sign? The answer is no, because bad dreams are from shaitan. And the Prophet tells us, whenever you see a bad dream, spit 3 times on your left, make sure that your spouse is not on your left, and seek refuge from Allah Azza wa Jal 3 times. And never tell anyone about it, because it will not harm you. It's from shaitan. So this has nothing to do with istikhara. She's saying that when we are praying Dhuhr or Asr, and we are with the Imam and we're reciting the Fatiha, and the Imam makes takbir for ruku', what should we do? The answer is you try very quickly finish your Fatiha and make ruku'. Because Fatiha is a pillar. So you have to don't take your time. Alhamdulillah. No, don't take your time. Just recite it quickly. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, Rahman Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, and you will be able, inshallah, to bow with your imam. She's saying that if the imam makes a mistake, she says, I think he made a mistake. When he concluded the prayer, he did not offer sujood al-sahw. Should I do it? The answer is no, because you follow your imam. If you did not do a mistake and you just thought he did a mistake, this is not a valid reason for you to prostrate. And you should not prostrate for sahu if you entered with the imam from the beginning, from the first rak'ah. If you prayed the whole rak'ahs with the imam and he offers salam, you have to offer salam. Even if you stood up or added something that is not part of the prayer unknowingly, he will take care of that and he will be responsible for it. Stelma from Nigeria says that, is there any hadith that those who Allah does not bless with children, Allah would be bashful of them on the day of judgment? And so because she looked for it and there is nowhere that she could find such a hadith. There isn't such a hadith. Those who do not have their offspring, they do not have children, it is from Allah Azza wa Jal. As Allah stated that it's Allah who gives some females and He will give some males, and He will give others females and males, and others He does not give any offspring. So this is from Allah Azza wa Jal. It's a test. You have to accept Allah's test, but you have to also know that Allah will reward you on the day of judgment with all the offspring you need in paradise if you're righteous and you enter paradise. Abu Safwan, he's saying that we have two proposals. May Allah Azza wa Jal choose the best for you. And I want to pray istikhara for both. No, this is not valid. The Prophet tells us if you have a choice between two, you have to determine which one to take. Okay, Sheikh, I want to buy a car. I don't know which one to buy, the white one or the blue one. You have to make a decision. But Sheikh, they're all beautiful. You have to make a choice. So say, okay, white one is better because it doesn't catch any dust and dirt. So I'm going to take the white one. Only then you pray istikhara. And if buying the white one is good for you, Allah would facilitate it and make it happen, and everything would go smooth. Likewise with the proposals. Two people propose to your daughter. You have to evaluate and see which one is better, a little bit. So if you find one is better than the other, then go with that one and then pray istikhara. If it's good for you, it will happen. How to decide? This is up to you. It depends on the criteria that you judge people, or you judge cars, or you judge things with. Saada is asking, I'd like to give charity for people who are needy. My husband does not approve. One, if the money you want to give charity from is your husband's, you have to obey him. Because you cannot spend a penny from his money without his approval. His money. But if the money is yours, whether you inherited it or someone gave it to you as a gift, and you would like to give it to charity, you do not need to seek the permission of your husband. And I would advise every single woman on earth to be wise. Don't tell your husband about your financial need, financial ability. Don't tell him about your bank account. Don't tell him how much you have. Don't tell him if your father gave you money, oh, my father gave me this and that, oh, I have inherited that. Keep your financial matters separate from your husband. This way, you would be in the clear. Whatever you want to give or take, this is not of his business. But if he knows and he tells you don't, and you still do, though it's halal, yet you are damaging your marriage. And last question, she's asking about a number of bracelets and jewelry she has. The answer is you have to look at the weight of that jewelry. Gold or silver only. Diamonds, rubies are not zakatable. If you have gold and silver, you have to look at the weight of the gold. It has to be 85 grams of pure gold or more. And it is mandatory to give 2.5% on the whole amount. So if you have 200 grams of pure gold, you give 2.5% of the 200 grams. And this is the most authentic opinion. Though it is the Hanafi school of thought, and the majority of scholars say that it is not mandatory, but the most authentic opinion, as according to Abu Hanifa and Sheikh bin Baz and bin Uthaymeen, they say that it is must for you to give zakat on the gold that you wear or on the gold that you store. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, في أمان الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Oh my Creator, oh Allah, fulfill our aims in life, Allah. Forgive our sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Ya Wasi al-Karami. Oh my Creator, oh Allah, fulfill our aims in life, Allah. Forgive our sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Oh Allah, the most gracious. Ya